Welcome to the Entrepreneurs Network show. My name is Ike Engelbaum. I'm the founder of the Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan, which is a group of motivated people that we are all interested in helping each other in achieving our personal and professional goals. My job, so to speak, which I really do not call a job, but a passion. I enjoy being a people matcher. We meet at a minimum once a month at the Oakland County Executive Office at 2100 Pontiac Lake Road, and you're welcome to check us out on the Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan.com as to our meetings. My purpose in doing the show is to interview successful entrepreneurs who are willing to share with us their ideas and experiences, both the good ones and the bad ones. Because as it has been jokingly said, you should learn from the mistakes of others because you'll never live long enough to make them all yourself. And I am pleased to have a good friend who I've just gotten to be friendly with just within the last couple of weeks. His name is Carl Gerard Knaus, which is a very fancy, dancy name, Mr. Knaus.
Right.
It's great. And you are an author. It has written a book on age reversing that really works. And also, you are an inventor, and you have an advertising firm. Wow,
Yes.
what a
I'm a
guy.
busy guy. I'm a busy
Yes,
guy.
well, that's good. That keeps you out of trouble, right?
That's for sure. That's for
Well,
sure.
I really enjoyed reading your book, and you not only are an author, but you actually have an artistic flair to your side. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm actually an artist.
Uh-huh.
I went to CCS, getting out of high school, and got into the advertising business right away, and just never looked back. Started the ad agency 43 years ago, and then from there discovered that as an artist, I'm always coming up with ideas and things, and I've always been interested in physical fitness. So if I can come up with an idea that will promote something that I have thought about that would make one's life better, I would get involved in it. So that's what's been happening to me, and it continues to this day.
I enjoy always hearing about people's background. So when you were at the embryonic stage of
Yes.
entrepreneurship, what was your first venture?
Well, the first thing that I got involved in was, after going to art school, finding a job as an apprentice, working for practically nothing with other successful people in the advertising industry and learning from them. And that's the way you learned back then, was by being an apprentice and erasing the mistakes of some other artist or something, and then just working your way up the ladder from there. 6 years later, I was a co-owner in a small agency, and then a year later ended up starting my own agency and just never looked back. But it's always been advertising. I've always been interested in advertising to the public, and that the power that the advertising world has over people. That if you have a good product or a good service, if you know how to market that product or service, the likelihood of you being a successful entrepreneur is much greater if you know how to do the marketing of that product or service. And of course, that's what I've gotten involved in.
Well, you know, at our Entrepreneurs Network meetings, many times we have a lot of people that show up and they really don't have a good sense of what they are good at. Do you have any thoughts? Somebody shows up and they really don't know what they want. Do you have a...
Sure. Well, the first thing, and people would come to the ad agency from time to time, and they would have a new product or a new service, and they would say, I got this, and I want to advertise it. And the first thing I would tell them is, have you done any test marketing of your product or your service? And if the answer is no, or if they say, well, I just have an idea and I want to advertise it, the first thing I tell them is to develop a working prototype of whatever it is, if it's a product, test that prototype with the public, with other people, and get reaction to see if this thing is something that you like it, you happen to like it, but what if the rest of the people don't like it and it doesn't seem to really foot the bill as far as taking care of what you think it should be doing, then you should back off. But if you go through that process and people are liking what you're doing other than your family, they're always going to tell you it's great.
Yeah,
but no, get out there, do some good testing, find out if there is a genuine want for your product. The next thing I tell people to do, start thinking about how you're going to manufacture or provide this service at a price that people are willing to pay, because that's another big mistake entrepreneurs make. They come up with something, wow, this is really great, but they can't produce it at a price that a consumer is willing to buy it at. You've got a failure right there. You've got everything that you want, but if you cannot produce it to make a buck, it isn't going to happen. You're going to go out of business.
Right.
You'll be spinning your wheels and everything's happening, and by the time you're done, you have no money. You're out of business. So I tell people, make sure that the product is something that's worthwhile, that has good customer demand, and that is something you can produce at a price that is acceptable to the average consumer. And last but not least, research to see if somebody else came up with it too.
Right.
You must always know what your competition is doing. You may have a real nice widget, but if someone else came up with that widget and is selling it and figured out a way to make it at half the price you're making it, you're out of luck too. So do your research on that too. And after you're all done with it, then you got to get into the marketing business. How do you reach the consumer? Find out who your consumer is. Could it be a baby boomer? Could it be a teeny bopper? Whatever it is, figure out how you're going to reach those people and put away money for the proper advertising in order to market or advertise your product or service. Too many times what I've seen, people come in, they've got everything going for them, and they've tried to do their own advertising, kind of like, I'll do my own taxes. And at the end of the tax thing, you've lost out hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. You hire a tax specialist, well worth the money spent. Too often what I've seen, people come in, they've got everything going, they've already done some advertising, they spent whatever money they had, it was poorly done, they're out of money, and now they come to me and say, well, what can I do? So the first thing you should have done is you should have seen me a year ago, because you had a budget for advertising, that was in the book, but you blew the money without knowing the right ways to advertise. Very important to market correctly. If you market your product correctly, you have a very good chance of becoming successful, provided all of the other elements are there.
Well, you know, you brought up the Internal Revenue Service and taxes and all, and you always hear the joke about, I am here to help you, okay? Well,
right.
Right, by the way, have you ever thought about it, that if you take the two words, the IRS, and combine the two words, it spells out theirs?
No, I didn't know that. Very good point.
Well, yeah, right. Well, the truth of it is, that's after the dust is settled. But the good news is, and I really believe, and part of the motivation that I do this show, is that I really am struck by the entrepreneurial bug. I have been very fortunate as a pharmacist to have been involved in drugstores, and we built a small chain of ours, and
excellent.
And it's been very gratifying to me because I graduated at the right time, in the sense that When I graduated, you didn't have all the big guns shooting at you like the major drug chains. So you really could really be your own boss, so to speak, and be in a profession that obviously medications are a vital part to life. So it was in the right field and all. But I can't help but think in terms of how many people out there, like you brought out, don't really do enough research to find out if there is a market for it.
It's critical.
And our government really is available, like through organizations like SCORE, which at one time was Senior Corps Retired Executives, the Small Business Administration, have free consultation. And almost every major county has got a...
And you don't have to hire them.
You don't have to hire them.
I like that.
You test that out. They'll even provide you with how-to type programs, plug in the blanks.
So you're getting free advice.
And you're getting free advice. Then once it's viable, why not actually test it out? Many times I encourage people, hey, if you think it's a great idea, why don't you go to a trade show that's catering to the type of audience that you're going to? And you know, a little secret, and you have to be very careful on how you approach it. And I cannot stress the importance in entrepreneurship. Rule number 1 is to be honest and be a genuine individual. Do not be a phony baloney.
Sooner or later, it will catch up to you.
Right. And rule number 2 is refer to number 1, okay? Because if you are honest and you're up front with somebody, you do the rounds at a trade show and say, hey, you know, I've got a product that I wondered if I could hang out around your table to see if it has merit. You know what happens? Many times that person at the trade show welcomes another human being so that you would draw more attention. Now, it's not going to work every time. But in business and as an entrepreneur, if you are now willing to accept some tick in the face or some negatives.
Trial and error is very important.
Right. And that's really the essence. And the whole point is, like in your particular situation, since you've been in advertising, I would imagine you've had people approach you that want to come up with something, and because you already are advertising, I am sure you're up front and tell them, hey, you know, there's another product or...
Yes, I will. I would not take the money. Some agencies might do that, but I will. I'm always very honest with people. I don't want to see them get disappointed. Number 1, it'll come back on me. Hey, we did advertise this product, it flopped, and it may still flop. There's no guarantees. But if the product is not something that has merit, you do have to tell. You have to talk to them and be honest with them. Because sometimes people live in their own little worlds, and they do certain things, and they have a small support system. Let's say you have a strong family tie. And that's really good. And in essence, it's really not. And next thing you know, you've lost everything. So you have to be honest. Being honest is important.
Be honest and actually be also realistic, okay? There's the classic story I enjoy telling about being realistic and knowing your market. It's about this guy who's standing on the corner selling pencils. And the guy comes along and asks him, oh, pencils, how much are you charging for the pencils? He said, $10,000. He says, $10,000 for one pencil? And he walks away all disgruntled and discouraged. And the guy that's standing there with the pencil says, if I could only sell one, okay?
I love it.
Well, the truth is, they ain't going to buy a pencil at $10,000. Find out what your competition charges. And another rule of thumb in entrepreneurship is don't go in with the idea that you're going to just charge less than a competitor is.
No.
You know what's going to happen?
It's one criteria, only one.
Oh, yeah,
of
no.
many.
Right. But think about it, and you alluded to it earlier. If you're going to make a product that's practical, it's got to be affordable for the market, but it also has that magic word that somehow we forget, and that's profit. Right.
Yes.
If you ain't going to make a profit at it,
Yes.
what's the point?
What's the point?
What's the,
Yes.
Right. And see how that ties in, pencil point? Anyway,
Yeah, very good.
moving
All
right
I
along.
like that. That was the winner. That was a
Moving
good
right
one.
along. The truth is that so many times people will go in with almost no profit at all, and they think they're going to make it up in volume. All that does is destroy your life.
Creates.
Right. Which, we're talking profit.
A major catastrophe,
right. Well,
and you've used up a good portion of your
yes.
life for nothing.
Right.
Oh,
And
spinning the wheels
yes,
is what it's
right.
called. Yeah,
and
spinning the wheels.
What you also have to remember is the other word of passion. It's also been described
Yes.
as fire in the belly.
Yes.
If you really are enthused about something, assuming you've covered the bases, that there is a market,
Yes.
it's affordable, and you can make a profit. If you don't have that passion, you have to be able, especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Yes, and the market is there for that product or service. Yeah,
And
you
the
still
other
have to have passion. Yeah.
And the other part of it that I always stress is the importance, and we've had not that I'm in agreement with everything that President Reagan did, but one thing I'll never forget, aside from his classic remark that trust but verify, his other thought that I've tried to promote is that whole aspect of actually where you surround yourself by people that are smarter than you.
Always. Oh, yeah.
And of course, you have to have that gift of communication. And if you're not fortunate enough to communicate your message, that's when an advertising company comes in, right?
Yes,
Is this what
exactly.
is that?
That's what it's all about.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you were the company name was officially Dynamic Marketing Specialties.
Specialist.
Specialist.
DMS Advertising.
Right. Well, that's great. Well,
Marketing
when you
Specialist.
analyze that,
And then just DMS is easy to remember. So just
right. Well, and the name itself, and that's
Detroit Optometric Centers
right,
became
yeah,
DOC way back in the
Well,
day.
Doc,
That's where I got the idea from.
Yeah, no, well, you see,
right.
and that's you brought out another great point.
DMS
No one
advertising.
says that you have to come up with the original
Oh, no.
idea yourself.
Most of the things that I have learned throughout my life, I've picked up from other people. There's a few little things here and there that I've introduced, but it's like you had said earlier, listening to other people and watching what other people have done.
Right.
Someone may have taken their whole life to develop a certain way to do a certain thing, and instead of you taking your whole life to develop it, all you do is look at what they did and take advantage of what they did.
Right.
Oh, that's how you do it.
Right.
And in 10 minutes, you have the benefit of their lifetime of inventing this product or service or way of doing something. Use it.
Right.
It's smart.
Right.
It's smart. Don't get hung up on this. Oh, I got to be original.
Oh yeah,
no,
right.
you
It's
don't.
gotta be, no.
No.
You can improve on an existing
There was
product.
a time when someone might, well, that's not original. So?
Right.
So what?
Well, taking it sort of on a tangent, when you analyze it, a lot of people, although it's important to be aware of competition, if it's a competitive field and you've got something better, that's a signal, if there is competition, that there must be something to it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be other people in it.
Yeah.
But you
that
just
product is good. You just
improve
make
it,
better.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
make it
Well,
better.
when you think
there are
about
many
it,
large companies out there that became large because they took something that was already out there and made it better.
Well, maybe this is a stretch. But Bill Gates, the richest guy in the whole world, worked, as I understand it, for IBM and had this idea.
I didn't
You're
know
making
that.
computers like that took up entire rooms. In fact, when computers first came out, that's one of the advantages of our age bracket. I remember when it started. And you even had to have the room temperature controlled because it's monstrosity.
And the computer was huge.
Along comes,
I remember that.
Along comes Bill Gates and approaches IBM people that, hey, this could be made in a smaller unit where almost everybody's got a computer. he lost his job. He ended up working
right.
out of his garage, and the rest is history.
Interesting. I didn't realize that's how he got started.
It's an incredible American dream, the richest guy in the world.
History is full of stories like that.
What's that? You mentioned something about listening.
Yeah.
And a line I like to use is that we were all created with 2 ears, hopefully, and 1 mouth, so that we could listen twice as much.
Oh, I love it. Very good. I never thought about that. Yeah. 2 ears and 1 mouth.
So, right. And the other thing is, as far as really evaluating what's out there, there are many great ideas that you can incorporate. I can give you from my personal life. When we had the drugstores, we were trying to figure out how do we get people into our store, because the lifeblood really was, although in those days we were able to fill prescriptions and not deal with all the insurance companies, and it was a lot less hectic a life, I can tell you. But the real profits were at the front counter, where you have cosmetics, and if you were sharp enough to evaluate your neighborhood. In fact, one of my most successful stores that we purchased was this pharmacist was hung up on getting high gift items in the store. He had 80% of the store filled with high-end gift products
because he liked them.
He liked them, right?
Right.
He didn't check the neighbor. He didn't check the neighborhood.
Yeah.
They weren't there. It was in a sort of a high blue collar neighborhood, and they didn't go for the fancy dancy gifts. He had little portions for the toothpaste and what have you.
Yeah.
We saw the store, and he, unfortunately, because he wasn't really evaluating his neighborhood, ended up almost having to give the store away. So we bought the store because we figured, hey, we're going to make this into a regular drugstore. Guess what happened? Our sales practically tripled within 5 years.
Wow.
Only because we saw his demographics were not for the gifts. And how many times do you have that?
Yes.
I know you've been involved.
They get personal about it, and you cannot be personal. You can take what you like as a beginning, but then if you don't check out what your market is and then tailor what it is you have to sell to that market, you're in trouble.
Right.
Just like you said.
Well, you know, the thing is, especially with your credentials in art and advertising, did you find that your graphics were that much easier to create because of your artistic flair when you put the ads?
Oh, yeah.
That must have really...
That was my gift. My gift is...
See, there you go. You had that
the gift of art, and for me, art spills over into many different areas. Creating the book is actually an art, the art of writing. There is artistic value. If you can write in words that are easy for people to understand, that's like a drawing that you have made very simple so that someone looks at it and say, yes, that's an apple.
Right.
It's easy because you have drawn that very specifically and very careful. It's an art, and art takes on many faces. There's many different things when you're an artist that you can get involved in, which obviously I've gotten involved in a bunch of them.
And I have to give you credit. Before we got on the air, you were telling me you surrounded yourself with other talented people around you that picked up where you left off, right?
Yeah, in this book, it's full. The credits section takes up an entire page.
And you give people credit.
Peter Nielsen, Peter's Principles, Jack LaLanne, you'll remember.
Oh, sure. Oh, yes.
Jack LaLanne Day. I idolized Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, well,
I used to watch him on television, towing all the boats, swimming every year. With so many.
See, one of the bright side.
Wondering, wow, how did he get like that? And I made it my business to find out.
Yes, yes. Yep. No, I had the privilege of actually meeting him and shaking his hand.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was really a thrill. That's one of the nice things about being around for a while.
Yeah, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. We go back a ways.
You know, there's a line that I heard that, you know, you're getting older Then when you go walk into an antique store and you say, "Oh yes, I remember that."
Using that, yeah, right. Oh yeah,
Right,
true.
right,
How true it
right.
is. Yeah.
But you've had really quite an interesting career with
Oh
the
yeah,
art.
I'm not
and
done yet.
No, well, good.
Thanks
No,
to
no.
my age reversing
Right,
program,
right.
everybody knows someday you're going to get old. But I am telling you, Ike, the way things have been going with me, and I could get old tomorrow. I don't know where life's journey takes me.
Right.
But because of this program and practicing it, I have energy like when I was in my 20s and 30s.
Right.
I just keep going and going and going.
Like
but I respect the things that I have learned, like getting a good night's sleep, making sure you take care of your stress level, eating properly, working out, having fun, all of these things.
Right.
And it allows you to enjoy life, which is what I believe we were put on this earth to do, to make the best and enjoy life.
Right.
Because you're only going to be here for a certain amount of time.
Right.
Make the quality of that life, if it's an entrepreneurial venture, or it's just going to work each day with a positive attitude, and then taking care of yourself, and then finding things that make you happy to do in your spare time, so be it. That's what you should be doing.
And if you can combine that, boy, if you would
have fun and make money at the same time.
Right. Right. That is really the ultimate gift, because they say if you can convert what you would do at no pay, or take a hobby.
Like my lifting weights. I enjoy lifting weights and making money off of it. That's fine with me. And helping others at the same time.
Right. Well, actually, we keep bringing up the importance of weight. In a way, you're living off the fat of the land. Oh, is that bad?
Where did that saying come from anyway?
I don't know. Speaking of fat, have you ever thought about it that fat chance and slim chance both mean the same thing?
Where did that come from? I don't know. I remember the song, and this is dating me. Do you remember? I can't remember who made this song, but it starts off. He took 100 pounds of clay.
Oh yes, took 100
and created
pounds
woman.
of clay.
And 100 pounds of clay, not 150 pounds, not 170 pounds.
Right.
He took 100 pounds of clay. There was something to that beginning that I ask people to please recognize. Watch your weight. It is so easy to start gaining weight. But if you know certain things and you can take the precautionary measures to ward off those things taking place, you don't have to get older in life and start slowing down. You can stay fired up and energetic and enjoy life for a lot longer.
Right. Well, you know, on our webpage, Entrepreneurs Network of Michigan.com, I have the Wheel of Life, and it's broken down to 5 spokes. Number 1 spoke, most important, is health. Okay.
Yes. Without health, you're in trouble.
Nothing. You're
most money in the world.
Right.
If your health is gone,
when you
what
get
do you
on
got?
an airplane, the steward servant, I got to be politically correct, tells you in case the oxygen level drops, put the oxygen mask, if you're a mother, on yourself first. You can't take care of your child if you pass out.
Care of yourself.
Next one is family. Very important that your partner, your significant other, shares in your life, and likewise, obviously, other people in your circle. Very important. We've run out of time, and I only have enough time for my parting thought. That if you really want to get anything done in life, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. And there is no excuse for not achieving your dreams and goals in America. It's the greatest country in the whole world. Remember, a goal is just a dream with a deadline.